The NFL schedule comes out in a little over 2 hours for the Ravens. We know they're going back to London in Week 6 to face the Titans, and here's hoping a better trip than in 2017. That was a 44-7 loss to the Jags. Ouch. A number of leaks already out with big primetime openers confirmed. The 2023 NFL schedule kicks off Thursday, September 7th, with the Lions at the Chiefs. We'll soon find out when wide receiver Zay Flowers will make his debut in a Ravens uniform. That uniform? Size small, but Flowers' talent much larger. He plays big with his hands and longer arms for his 5'9" frame. Every person who evaluates talent for the Ravens draft had him as the best player available when the Ravens took him at 22nd overall.
Explosive speed, all right, and he's strong. Like, he's not big, but he's strong. So you watch him, you watch guys grab him. He can fight through contact. He can fight off contact. He can handle the bump. You see it, and then his ability to play big for himself, for his size at the catch point. He just got a route ability at all, really, X, Y, Z, wherever. Just line him up.
The Orioles will use this off day to enjoy their biggest series win the first quarter of the season, taking down the best team in all of baseball, Tampa Bay, 2-1 yesterday. Their top-ranked prospect in the minors, Jackson Holliday, is in action tonight in Aberdeen if you want to check him out. The 19-year-old is already in high A with 2 home runs, a double, triple, and 5 RBIs with a .318 average through 12 games.
We're moving on up, which was kind of cool. The guys in Delmarva were awesome. The coaching staff was great, so I was kind of sad to see them, like, wave bye to them. But I'm excited to be here and just trying to get out of here as fast as possible now. That's the new goal.
The scratch favorite Forte will for sure be known Monday evening, that fate, if it's even possible for Forte to run due to the rules and that injury. But again, Monday, the entry list for the Preakness will be finalized.
Morgan, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6, rolling out the Bikes for a Good Cause. Why helping kids learn to ride a bike is one Oriole player's mission. And the debate over public or charter school back in the spotlight. Why some states are choosing to fund private education while others are sticking with the public option.
He could clearly see the weapon in his right hand.
We cannot continue to allow folks to openly carry illegal firearms.
A BPD officer shoots a 17-year-old. Why police were after him in the first place. Monzi director Shante Jackson hands in her resignation. What the future could hold for an organization already facing transparency questions. And a major breakthrough in America's pandemic fight. Why Mayor Scott says the work isn't over in Baltimore.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. We are following two breaking stories as another high-profile member of Mayor Scott's office resigns. More on that in a moment. But we begin with Vincent Hill and a police shooting, leaving a 17-year-old in Baltimore hospitalized. Vincent?
Yeah, Mary, like you said, that was a 17-year-old that was killed or shot here earlier, rather. It happened at Frederick Avenue and Catherine Street. Now, police say one of their officers was engaged with that individual, believed to be armed. They say that person ran from officers, and after a short chase and commands to drop a weapon, an officer fired at least one shot. No police were injured. Police say they recovered a gun with an extended magazine here at the scene. And here's what Mayor Brandon Scott had to say earlier about illegal guns.
We will not continue, we cannot continue to allow folks to openly carry illegal firearms in our city. We know that this is plaguing our city and has continued to do so. So we will continue to make sure that we do everything to get these illegal guns off the street.
Again, we do know that that teen right now is at a local hospital in critical condition. Mary?
Vincent, two quick questions for you. First, tell us why the command center is still there, and also what does Baltimore police policy say about the use of potentially deadly force?
Yeah, we're told the command center is here, Mary, because investigators are actually reviewing body cam footage. This investigation is very active right here at the scene. They want to figure out what happened on that body cam. And as far as the policy, BPD's policy when it comes to deadly force says an officer may use deadly force when they reasonably believe such an action is immediately necessary to protect an officer or another person from imminent threat of serious bodily injury or death. And speaking as a former police officer, Mary, what that means is, did the officer believe if the armed individual was to escape or get away and not be armed, could he have been a threat to the public or to an officer? For now, we're live in Baltimore. Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
Vincent, thank you. Well, our other breaking story tonight, Shante Jackson is stepping down from her post as head of the mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. Fox 45's Amy Simpson leads off our team coverage with how her colleagues in City Hall are responding.
This afternoon, Jackson also confirming she's resigning effective June 30th. And while she didn't say why, she said stay tuned for her next chapter of service to Baltimore.
Mr. Chair, thank you for having us.
Wednesday afternoon, she sat before members of City Council.
We've got to ensure that we are using data to drive our plan.
Taking ownership of her team and their ongoing mission.
Monzi serves as that bridge.
But today, news that Shante Jackson, head of Monzi, the mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, is resigning, set to leave the role at the end of June. Jackson tweeting to say she was not asked or told to resign. She's looking forward to what's next and to stay tuned. Mayor Brandon Scott thanking Jackson, saying she was an integral part of treating violence as a public health issue, and the team at Monzi will continue that work. Today, City Council President Nick Mosby said Monzi's work is important to the city, hoping that, quote, stability is maintained to ensure the effective implementation of plans to keep our communities safe. It's unknown what changed between yesterday.
Over the past few months, we have been really intentional.
And this morning, when news of this departure broke. Just before lunchtime today, Mayor Brandon Scott's office told Fox 45 News it would not be commenting on personnel matters. But a few hours later, they issued a lengthy statement which says this resignation may have come as a surprise. At City Hall, Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Well, City State's Attorney Ivan Bates commenting on Jackson's departure. He says in part he commends Executive Director Jackson for the groundwork she laid for the group violence reduction strategy work, the progress she made in the historically volatile Western District, and the expansion of the strategy into new sectors of our city. Jackson is stepping away from an agency that has been the focus of a Fox 45 News investigation for nearly 2 years. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost looks into past issues and how we got to this point.
We've tried to get Shante Jackson to agree to do an interview with us for almost 2 years without success, all in our effort for more transparency and accountability within the mayor's office. Director Shante Jackson, a woman in the spotlight as we investigate the agency and gun violence prevention programs trying to untangle the layers of concern. Safe Streets, central to the questions surrounding transparency and accountability for the millions of dollars given to the program. With a checkered past, the location scattered around the city. In April of last year, an internal review of Monzi and Safe Streets confirming previous reporting and analysis from Fox 45 News. The data is inconclusive surrounding the effectiveness of the Safe Streets locations. Last fall, Mayor Brandon Scott announcing a major shift in management for the program. The change coming after a year of questions from Fox 45 News about the program's effectiveness. Does that signal that the previous CBOs that were operating these locations were mismanaging the locations?
No. It's about evolving.
We've struggled to get information about how this program is run, the training, the staff. Will this change bring more transparency to this for the public?
We're very transparent about the program.
But that has not been reality. Fox 45 News threatening to sue the city of Baltimore to get leaders to hand over the contracts with the nonprofits running each Safe Streets location. We've gone searching for workers at all the locations, trying to get a better idea of how they do their work. Few people were found, and even fewer details provided. Jackson refusing to provide Safe Streets workers for an actual interview or showing Fox 45 News the inner workings of the interrupter's responsibilities. Former Mayor Sheila Dixon launching Safe Streets during her administration, now reacting to Jackson's departure.
I feel that I don't know if she necessarily had the best expertise and background to really handle that agency.
It's a big agency.
Yeah, it is a big agency, and unfortunately, you know, I don't know what has happened at City Hall, you know, with the change of leadership, but whatever decisions are going to be made in the future with that agency, because it's important as part of the, you know, crime fighting effort, that the mayor can identify and find the right person.
Before being tapped as Monzi's director, Jackson was the acting leader of the Baltimore Community Mediation Center in 2019. That's the nonprofit running the Woodbourne-McCabe Safe Streets location at the time. The same spot where these court records from a murder case show an employee describing how she was taught to clock in on her phone without ever having to go into work, and outlining how Safe Streets workers would not hold meetings at their location, rather meet at places like McDonald's and Applebee's. Jackson exiting City Hall leaves the mayor's office of neighborhood safety and engagement without a leader at a critical time for Baltimore as the summer and crime concerns are starting to heat up. According to city records, Jackson got a promotion in November of last year, bringing her total annual salary to more than $223,000. It's still unclear who the mayor will name as Jackson's replacement. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, former city prosecutor Tharu Vignaraja joined us live on Fox 45 News at 4 today to talk about what the future holds for Monzi.
Monzi in particular, Safe Streets in particular, has been the subject of so much scrutiny and so many unanswered questions. And Director Jackson fueled, I think, the mayor's approach to not answering those questions. As much as he wants to present Monzi and Safe Streets as the tip of the spear, as much as he wants to present Director Jackson as the tip of the spear, no one really knows what impact they were having. And now that the tip of the spear is broken, you have to wonder whether the overall program is in doubt.
Well, this is the latest resignation to hit the mayor's office. Only days ago, the mayor's chief of staff and director of communications abruptly resigned. The director of the city's troubled Department of Public Works is also on the way out. Jason Mitchell will be leaving his post next month. And the city is also without a fire chief. Niles Ford stepped down late last year after a scathing report about failures inside the department. Well, one person is injured. 3 people are displaced after a massive fire early this morning in Hamden, damaging as many as 10 homes. It happened around 2:30 this morning on Union Avenue. The Baltimore Fire Department told our Olivia Dance one person is hospitalized with minor burns. The cause of the fire is now under investigation. 3 schools in Anne Arundel County briefly go on lockdown. That happened this morning because of an email threat. The lockdown began at Old Mill High in Millersville. We're told the school received a threatening email. After investigating, though, police found it was not credible. 2 other schools were also put on precautionary shelter-in-place order.
A monumental day in the COVID fight as the U.S. ends its public health emergency surrounding the virus. The White House chooses not to renew the declaration for what would have been a 14th time. COVID-19 weekly cases and hospitalizations are down drastically from previous years, but health officials say the pandemic isn't completely going away. Mayor Brandon Scott addressed the end of the public health emergency for Baltimore, saying it's a significant achievement, but one we shouldn't take for granted in Baltimore or anywhere else across the country. He says Baltimoreans need to keep making smart health decisions, including staying up to date with COVID boosters.
Well, coming up, we'll go to the southern border as Title 42 expires. A look at how the White House is responding to a massive influx of migrants.
School choice getting renewed attention for National Charter Schools Week. I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington with what states are finding success in passing their own school choice legislation and which ones are not.
And as we're wrapping up the afternoon commute, temperatures falling from around 80 back into the 70s and even upper 60s by the time things are quieting down. I'm going to let you know how much warmer it could be tomorrow. It's my Weather Authority forecast.
Well, let's go live to the El Paso, Texas southern border. Title 42 is set to expire at midnight, ending a pandemic-era measure allowing Border Patrol to turn migrants away, citing COVID reasons. You can see the crowd waiting to come in. Well, officials are bracing for the surge of migrants across border towns, but Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says the U.S. borders are not open. He says the White House is using every tool at its disposal to prepare for the surge. School choice on the minds of many as National Charter School Week comes to a close. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins takes us through which states are expanding school choice while others are pumping the brakes.
As standardized test scores in math, reading, and history drop to historic lows,
how do I finish solving this?
Parents continue to fight for more options.
Not every public school is able to serve every single student.
As they turn away from public schools.
We saw 240,000 students enroll in charter schools during the pandemic, while 1.3 million students left the traditional system, and those numbers have stayed steady.
Charter school enrollment numbers tripling in the last 20 years.
Charter schools are autonomous schools that are held accountable first and foremost by parents. If there are not enough students in seats in charter schools, they can't keep their doors open. They're really the best of what public education is in this country.
The debate over school choice continuing at the state level. This week, bills advancing in Alabama that would create a universal voucher system and tax credits, providing parents with funds to send their kids to private schools.
Having that option for parents that their students are not being well served in a public setting is so important.
Nevada's governor throwing his support behind a school choice bill that would create a state office of school choice to help parents understand their options.
And so they can choose and they can have a sense of how their child is going to thrive.
The movement having a tougher time in Texas, where the House recently slowed progress on a bill creating education savings accounts.
When I speak to a lot of moms and dads, they're concerned that our public school system won't have the resources it needs in order to be more successful than it currently is.
At this point, charter schools are the most widespread version of school choice. 45 states have already passed legislation adding them to their systems. Montana is set to be the 46th state if a bill passes before the end of this legislative session. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
In this year's legislative session, Maryland lawmakers reached a compromise to keep the state-funded Boost program, which provides scholarship money for students from low-income families to attend private or parochial schools. Governor Wes Moore had pushed for Boost funding to be phased out, saying the money should be directed to public schools instead.
All right, taking a look at the Fox triple cast this evening. Very nice shot here. A little bit hazy, though, on the Toyota Eastern Harbor Sky Cam, as well as the Mile 1 Taos Cam. A little bit clearer there, but the traffic is moving by slowly on York Road. And then you take a look on the side of your screen. That's our next weather maker. That's right around Nashville. That could give us some rain as we work our way towards the weekend. So the Toyota Eastern Harbor Sky Cam, it's warm right now, 81 degrees. Excuse me, made it up to 83 this afternoon. Winds out of the southwest. It's a warm direction at 8 miles an hour. Very quiet at Camden Yards. No game tonight. Humidity at 38% and our dew points in the 50s. So it is a dry warmth. About 75 to 80 still area wide. And really the entire state enjoying the warmth. Ocean City, the cool spot at 64. Even places like Oakland, where it was snowing within the past 2 weeks. We've got temperatures in the 70s in the entire eastern 2/3 of the country. In the 70s and the 80s. Not everybody's sunny, though. We are for today and tomorrow. Even warmer yet for tomorrow as we make it to about 85. There's the next weather maker. It's plenty wet down that way, and that will continue to arc some moisture our way as we work on the future scan into Friday night, Saturday morning. Let's go ahead and take a look as you start your day on Friday. Not going to be the 40s we woke up to this morning. Going to be in the 50s and probably low 60s. By tomorrow afternoon, 70s and even some low and mid 80s. Good looking day for Friday to wrap things up. And then it looks like Friday night, that's when the clouds increase. And just in time for the first half of the weekend, there's your rain. Could see on and off rain and even a thunderstorm for Saturday morning, Saturday midday, and Saturday early afternoon. That will gradually taper off. And then things dry out just in time for Mother's Day. We're going to have that in a second. 56 degrees, seasonable under mostly clear skies for tonight. Just added this in. 85 tomorrow. It's a code orange air quality alert day, as well as clouds and sunshine and warmth. So those with sensitive respiratory systems, those with pre-existing respiratory issues, those that are very young, the elderly, going to have to spend some extra time inside tomorrow. And things are going to be cooling down and getting wetter in the forecast. I'm going to let you know how that could impact our Mother's Day plans in a few minutes.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Rounds of relentless rain dumped an estimated 6 inches across parts of Arkansas since yesterday morning. Many roads like Highway 35 here are underwater. The Pacific Northwest is preparing for a mid-May rarity, temperatures in the high 80s and 90s. And this is what you call one brave bird. A roseate spoonbill in South Carolina is either playing with or taunting a gator.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
A group of drag queens from Dallas flying to Austin with a mission to save drag. Their visit coincides with a State House hearing on a bill which initially looked to ban drag shows. Monique Lopez from our Sinclair sister station caught up with the group as they head to the state capitol.
We are here to save drag.
Jenna Sky, Rocky Tacoma, Bleach, and Cassie Nova hopped on a charter plane from Dallas to Austin this morning, eventually being escorted to the state capitol.
Here to extend an olive branch to all of the legislators to let them know that we want to protect our rights as drag queens as much as the rights of others.
On Wednesday, state lawmakers debated a watered-down version of SB 12, which bans sexually oriented performances in front of kids, which doesn't specify what forms of drag that could apply to. But if passed, the bill could still ban drag in hotels, restaurants, and bars if the drag performances is in the line of sight of children. Supporters say the legislation protects children. Opponents like the Rose Room 4 say it's a direct attack on the LGBTQ plus community.
It is my livelihood. It's what I've done for over 30 years. And it's how I make my living. It's how I connect with my community.
During the House